Hello and welcome everyone, Lionheart here with a Warcast Extra. I'm joined by Warrior Sparta.
Hello.
And Darren from Creative Assembly.
Hello.
Or you may know him as Darren Total War.
He's dead.
He lives!
Yeah.
You're right. Yeah.
And we have a rather exclusive announcement for you guys today. So Creative Assembly announced yesterday their new DLC Empires of the Sands for Attila. But alongside that, there's some free LC. So Empires of the Sand free LC is the Lakhmids faction. And I think Darren can probably tell us a little bit of info who they are.
Yeah, so the Lakhmids, this is a free LC faction, as Lionheart said, for the Empires of Sand. So even if you don't own Empires of Sand, your game will update and get the Lakhmids. They're part of a Desert Kingdoms culture pack, so they have like immunity to desert attrition and some other bonuses. And they're off over toward in the Middle East, just next to like the edge of the Roman Empire or the Eastern Roman Empire on the far east. They're actually a client state of the Sassanid Empire as well. So yeah, that's basically who they are, and they come with I think 12 new units unique to their faction alone, and then the rest are kind of like a mixture of the ones that are in the game already and some Sassanid rosters taken into their roster as well, I think.
Nice.
So yeah.
Nice. So they've got that Sassanid sort of influence into them with their sort of faction. And then
Yeah, there's a lot of like, well, they have fairly strong horse archer cavalry.
Right. Yeah.
So that's obviously like,
yeah.
but I think they're a cavalry-centric kind of faction mainly. And then it's just like kind of good spear infantry as well. So melee infantry, not so hot. So yeah, it's kind of similar to the Sassanids in that regard anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. Excellent. Excellent. What sort of traits can we expect from in terms of like the actual specific faction traits if you're going?
That's a good question.
I
I have some notes here because I can't remember everything. But let's see. Their specific traits are Scourge of the Desert, which is like a plus 15 attack to during desert battles, which is pretty handy, obviously, because you'll be surrounded by desert pretty much, I'd say, half the game until you get out into like, kind of Turkey, Greece kind of area.
Yeah.
Fractured Fates, which is increased public order penalty for religious differences between new religions. Attrition, which I mentioned, is immune to desert attrition, and Sun Scorched, which is plus 2 to sanitation everywhere. So yeah, that's the Lakhmid traits. Sorry, that's the desert attrition or the desert kingdom stuff.
Okay.
As well. But they also have subsidized peace, which is plus 500 wealth per turn while at peace with the Sassanids, and I'll get a little bit more to that later. There's a good reason to stay as with them as a client state. But obviously nobody likes being under someone else's foot the entire time. And there's Heavenly Cities, which is plus 25% increased replenishment rate inside a settlement. So they benefit from staying inside their cities as well.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And the fact that they don't take desert attrition is actually hugely beneficial as well if you do choose to go to war with like Eastern Rome or the Sassanids, because they don't have it. And you can like stand in the middle of the provinces raiding. If they want to come get you, they're going to have to take attrition. So
yeah,
it's actually a really handy way of kind of dealing with them in guerrilla warfare.
I was going to say that because I remember in my Sassanid campaign, I'm sure I didn't have I'm sure I had desert attrition, so that's quite a nifty little thing to have there because you're pulling them out of their cities to tempt them and bait them into the desert land to try and fight them. So you've got an instant advantage against them then. So that's
It's
good.
almost like they're the desert version of the Geats. The Geats having that immunity to
Oh,
snow
yeah.
attrition, so these are the guys that won't take any attrition from the sands. Sweet. So
very good.
There's new units in there.
Yeah.
As well.
Don't know if I have the list of those. There is quite a lot. Yeah, I do, but I can't remember exactly what they all are because they all just have like kind of Arabic names. So I'm not the best at like knowing exactly what they are. I should have written down if they're melee infantry or what. But I've been playing with them for a while, so I'm only on like turn like 40 in my own campaign. But a lot of them are reserved for like higher tier late game units, and that actually ties into the religion system.
Yeah,
there's big new religious features for these factions as well. One of the main ones being having dual religious building chains. So most people probably don't really care too much about religion in the game or what they're doing with it. It's just a way to keep public order happy. But now it's been tied into your military chains a little bit, at least if you're a Desert Kingdom. So this applies to the Empires of Sand DLC as well as the free LC. But the main thing being that once you get around to like your tier 5 barracks, you can either build I have the exact name written down here because, again, it's a weird name. You can either build a House of the Hagia Makatas, which is basically like the Eastern Christianity version of this tier 5 barracks. You can only build one or the other, and that'll give you need to have 70% your religion to do that. That's why you can only build one or the other. So you could convert, but it's very hard to bring you down from 70 to get from 30 up to 70.
Yeah.
So it'll take you a long time to do that, especially if you're already a tier 5. That gives you like access to Aldosser cavalry, which is like really high tier like melee cavalry, and the Sana E melee infantry. Couldn't honestly tell you exactly what they do because I just don't know right now.
Probably like elite infantry, weren't they? Sort of.
Yeah, they're all tier 3. I'm fairly sure.
Okay, tier 3. Yeah,
they're really powerful infantry.
Yeah.
But if you don't build that one, you can get another building, which I can't remember the name of because I didn't write that one down for some reason. But that's the Zoroastrian tier 5, and you get, I think it's 2 cavalry units for doing that one. So you have to make a choice at some point which religion you're going to take, and you can do that early on, which is probably the best option. Because once you start off, you start with like 70-30, I think, on your factions. But you can actually build in this. You can actually build either religious building that you want. You're not limited to only building your faction religion. So if you want to switch to Zoroastrian, it's just a matter of building all the Zoroastrian buildings and hiring some priests, and then you're okay. You can start converting because you only need to get to 30 to convert.
Is there sort of specific sort of bonuses for which religion you go for? So you have certain bonuses for in terms of the Western Roman Empire and things like that. Is there specific bonuses for each different religion you've got on the DLC?
Yeah, there is. I believe Eastern Christianity gives you a benefit to like trade and stuff like that. Whereas Zoroastrian is actually more military focused, so you might get a reduced upkeep. But I can't remember the exact ones. Again,
that's fine. But there's going to be something there, yeah. Okay,
there's a definite like play style decision to be made on which one you should choose.
Cool.
And it's kind of you start with Eastern Christianity, at least with the Lakhmids, and you're kind of the other option is always kind of a little bit better. At least the way I feel, it is kind of down to your play style. But for me, I feel like going for the military side of things, like reduce upkeep and stuff like that, it's worth converting to Zoroastrian. So you're encouraged to like try and convert like straight away, or in the next few turns, like at the beginning of the game, just to make that a little bit interesting. You don't have to. You could just stick with Eastern Christianity, stay that way forever, ignore like all the religious technologies to do with that, and just go for the tier 5 like Makata's building if you want. Or you can like I said, switch, and it's a little bit tougher at the beginning, but you're probably rewarded for it greater later on.
Nice. Did we see when we saw the tier 5s being introduced in the Celts culture pack, didn't we? Is that the first time we saw tier 5 buildings being brought in?
I'm not sure if it was the first time, but they were in the Celts as well.
I remember that. Yeah.
Are we seeing? I mean, with other culture packs that you've done, you brought in this idea of event chains where you have some kind of interaction, be it a character that you send off on a mission and they come back as a really powerful general or agent or something. Have we got something similar to that in the free DLC, and I guess as a wider part of the DLC?
Yes, so there's a really interesting one for the it's kind of Sassanids and for the Lakhmids. Each faction in the Empires of Sand has one of these. They actually all have unique event chains. But the one for the Lakhmids that we'll focus on now is the... so you're a client state of the Sassanid Empire. And it's actually kind of funny. So if you stay... You can ignore this event chain completely if you break away from them within about the first 20 turns, I think. But if you stay under their rule for the first 20 turns, what you get is a message from the king of the Sassanids who's visiting your territory. And he's very, he's overlooking one of his client states, I guess, because the Sassanids have like nearly 10, I think.
That's it, yeah.
And he's basically at a banquet or something, and he remarks that he's liking everything so far, and then he says like, well, he starts commenting on the Arabs and the fact that like you're Arabian. He says like he starts giving you derogatory terms. Basically, I'm trying to dance around being racist for no reason, but like he's basically saying like. All the Arabians, they love, like all they eat is camel meat, and lions don't even eat camel meat. He's kind of like making them out to be,
taunting them and mocking them.
Lower class citizens, I guess. So you have the choice to either, at this banquet, either stand up for yourself and say like, we're proud people, we're not that bad, blah blah blah, or you can say like, you try to calm them down and see what happens. This is like a narrative event chain, so that's just one chain that you don't know what this is going to do. It's similar to the Longbeards, where they did this as well with the kind of what was it? Those like the
Yeah, good. What's his name?
oh yeah, I can't remember now as well. But there's like you
Yeah,
get these special hero generals at the end of the narrative event chain for those
that's it.
ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's similar to that. You don't know what you're going to get, and there's four. I don't want to spoil each one, but that's how it starts. And
Okay.
it's basically like, do you want to either be submissive to the Sassanids, or are you going to put up with his mockery, or do you want to rise against them and
Declare your
basically
independence from them.
declare your
Yeah.
independence? Yeah.
Yeah.
And there is benefits to doing that, and there is also negatives as well. So even just your cultural trait at the beginning,
I was about to mention that.
or
Yeah.
your faction-wide trait is, you're going to lose 500
There's
a
a
turn doing
bonus
that.
there,
Which is-
staying
yeah,
subjugated.
huge.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think if you annoy him a lot, or if you take the punishment, your public order is going to suffer because your people aren't going to believe in you as a king. If you rise up against them, obviously you get your independence, but suddenly like you might lose some integrity to your troops because you're just breaking an ally. And what else? Oh, all the other factions could go to war with you like straight away.
Yeah.
So that's a fairly big amount of factions to go to war because you only start with one region.
Yeah. Wow.
So you could end up going to war. Well, by turn 20, let's say you have about 2 or 3 by that stage, you could end up going to war with a very large empire right at your borders.
Wow.
So there are drastic consequences to the choices you make. So I'd say think carefully, and it's kind of funny. I always feel like it's not super important, but it's funny, and your choices do matter. Like
Yeah.
the remarks you can give back to him and what he says back to you are pretty funny.
Nice.
So, seeing as you start off with one settlement, are there options to expand easily when you first start? I mean, how hard would you say the Lakhmid sort of starting position is?
I'd say for starting, it's actually quite easy. So you start, can't remember the name of the province, but it's just south of, I mean, you should know, like, if you look into the game, like, you can see where the Lakhmids are. They haven't changed position or anything,
No.
but they're just south of the Sassanids. They're next to a desolate region. I think the province is called Arabia. They're next to a desolate region, and they're also next to the Ghassanids, and they start at war with the Ghassanids. Now, in my campaign, when I played it, I was playing on very hard, and instantly the Sassanids sent armies down into the Ghassanids to take them out, and they did. They removed their army, didn't take the town, and backed off. So I was able to just move in and take like an empty town, basically, really easily. Can't say that'll happen for everyone, but either way, the Ghassanids only have one full army. I think it's relatively safe bet to say you can take them out. And then I never managed to save up enough money to go down for the desolate region, because the problem with being a client state is as soon as the Sassanids start waging war on all these other factions around them, you have to join or break away.
Yeah.
So when I started joining wars against like the Afrigids and all these other factions north of the Sassanids, thinking like, oh, it's fine, I'll never really see them. But then they migrate and they come straight down towards you, or it's down into the Eastern Roman lands that they can take. So suddenly you find yourself kind of surrounded by enemies if you stick with the Sassanids. So I'd say like it has a relatively easy, but you got to be quick to take some territory initially and just kind of eat away at the Romans as much as possible. It's very easy to make trade allies with the other desert kingdoms because they have kind of a cultural affinity with them, and they have like spice trade and purple dyes just to your south. So I'd say it's a good idea to trade with them, and you'll build up some money and then prepare for like whatever trouble the Sassanids get you into, basically. Because I think it's a good idea to stick with them. That's what I tried to do anyway.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of the community have been wanting some more factions in the East. Since the games will come out, this is obviously going to be hopefully a welcome addition to Attila with these factions, and it gives you, as you say, a lot of choices to make, important choices you have to make in this campaign. Obviously, it could really affect a lot of things down the line. So, quite like how that's sort of coming along in Attila now. It's really good. Really good.
I mean, it's much different. Like I play the game as well. Like people know, like I used to play the game quite a lot. People who do know me, and I still do. But there is a lot of barbarians, and a lot of the culture packs have been barbarian versions. There's like, even the Celts, like they were quite unique, I thought, but they're still basically like just kind of barbarians. So I feel like these Eastern units are actually like wildly different, and they play differently.
That's
and
it.
They definitely look different, and you're just kind of playing in a completely new setting when you're down in the East. I really like that setting.
Yeah, you do feel like you're on a completely different environment, don't you, when you're down?
If you're like me and you only kind of play the factions that were kind of came out recently, that's what I've been doing with Attila. So it's like when Viking Forefathers was out, like that's pretty much who I played with first, apart from Rome. And then I played with like the Longbeards. Then I played with like the Celts. And you kind of have like, you're always fighting the Romans. You always kind of have that same kind of music going on. It's barbarian versus Roman music. One or the other might come on. But then, like, if you go down to the east, like, it's just totally different. Like, the atmosphere is totally different. When you're fighting against the Eastern Romans, you get, like, different music. And, of course, you could have played as Assassinids, but apart from that, like it's good to venture even further south into that Arabian Peninsula. It's like really interesting. I know
Himyars, isn't it, down there?
sounds really like marketing, but it is interesting gameplay down there.
Yeah.
It's different to fighting up north.
Definitely.
Well, I've got to admit, it'll be a different change of scenery. I mean, all of my Let's Plays that I've done so far, only my Huns Let's Play is now going east. I actually had to flee from the Sassanids early on because they all declared war on me, and all the satrapies have been chasing me all around Europe. But I finally returned east, and I'm just starting to encounter the Sassanids and the Eastern Kingdoms there. But apart from that, I've not touched it. I've been sat in sort of in Central Europe.
Yeah, the thing is, you kind of forget like how different it is, because when you go against someone like the Sassanids, they have the completely different architecture, the buildings and all that stuff. So it's just like it's totally refreshing, at least for me, because I wasn't really fighting in that area for a long time.
I was about to say
it felt very different.
Looking forward to not taking any winter attrition, but we'll just have desert attrition. Well, you won't with the Lakhmids, but with other factions and what have you. You have to watch out for the desert attrition there, so it's...
That is something I would say... Sorry, go on.
Sorry, go on. I was going to say, it's only very quickly. I was going to say, you seem to have pushed a lot on and taken a lot from what you've done in the last Roman, because obviously those events really are in sort of...
Yeah, it's very similar to that, actually.
Yeah, because of
that obvious
Justinian
connotation.
Yeah, the Justinian and the Belisarius and Theodosius, what am I talking about? Theoden. What's her name? What's her name? The Emperor... Oh my God!
Empress.
It is. It's
and
begin with a T, but
yeah, Antonia and Theodora. That's it.
Theodora.
Yeah. So all those events were really emphasised in the last round. I think that's been brought into this one as well.
I think it is a little bit clearer choice what's going to happen depending on. You can kind of with this narrative event chain for the Lakhmids at least. I think there's 3 options that come up, and there's 4 possible or 6 possible outcomes. I think that's what it is. Oh no, sorry. There's 2 options. There's 2 options and 4 possible outcomes. Whether you go yes, no, 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 yes, yes, no, no, or no, yes, backwards. So there's different outcomes based on that. But you can tell which way it's going to go based on your answer, like how you treat him at that banquet.
Yeah.
That's nice. I like that.
So you kind of know, because for me anyway, with the last Roman, I just made a mistake. I didn't really think about how bad it was going to be. And I remember it was like a minus 20 integrity hit to my armies or something, and which is massive early game. I feel like it's not as harsh as that was.
That's the next Twitch challenge then for me and Warrior. We were doing Last Roman, and Twitch chat told me that I had to declare independence Last Roman as the expedition first turn, which screwed me over. So I'm sure there'll be those suggesting that yeah, sure, go for independence from the Sassanids first turn. What could go wrong?
It might work out. I haven't done it. So
challenge. There you go, guys.
Yeah. No.
But yeah, you're sacrificing. That is one thing I'll say like about their starting. They're not making that much money in the beginning.
So they need that 500.
I think they do, yeah. Because even with that, I stayed Client State and I was losing money with 1 full army. And I had 2 towns and I was trying to get into the Eastern Roman Empire. So I felt like it was fairly tough to manage like just having 1 full army. And the problem is like I kept getting all these enemies as well. So
I guess it must be tough though as well, because with the Sassanids with so many satrapies, if you are brought into a war, you do decide to stick with the Sassanids and you do follow them, you are kind of having to try to get there first to claim the territory. Otherwise the other satrapies are just going to benefit and rise up with their own little empires, and you're going to be left at the side, totally dependent on the Sassanids giving you almost a handout. So I guess if you don't break away, you could be in quite a lot of trouble there.
Yeah. Although that being said, you don't get the full 500 technically, because you're paying give a tribute every turn.
Oh wow!
And I think the bigger you get, the bigger the tribute.
Those Sassanid terms and conditions.
That's how it works out. Yeah.
Small print.
Got to read the fine print.
Yeah, it's risk and reward, a lot of this, isn't it? A lot of it. So yeah.
I think it's all about kind of sticking with them and then finding the right time to go.
To say right, this is now the time. Yeah.
But you definitely the dilemma at the beginning is like it really makes you feel bad, because he says some things and you do feel that sense of pride, even though you're just playing for like 20 turns. He's really like having a go at your empire and you. So you really do feel like, oh, I'm not gonna like stand for that,
Yeah.
So it is interesting. I like that kind of stuff.
Yeah, there's some pretty on the diplomacy screen. There's some pretty creative taunts on there when you load up. So looking forward to seeing what sort of names I get called now.
It'd be good for a live stream campaign as well, because you could get your chat to sort of help you make these decisions as you go along, isn't it, sort of thing. So yeah, cool.
Yeah, I think for a Let's Play, especially like Twitch or Let's Plays, it makes it much more interesting to have that kind of choice to be able to give to players.
Yeah, that role-playing element into it, and it's not just you know, the family tree certainly helps that, but now this is, you have that role-playing element as you feel you are the king talking to the king of the Sassanids, and you're having to personally deal, you know, on one hand, do you want to piss off the king of the Sassanids, or do you want your own people rebelling against you and causing you trouble at home? Like that dynamic there. And
it was like that, as I say, in Last Room. And again, you know, do you anger your emperor, or do you know, anger your men? Or do you anger your men? You know,
or your wife?
Yeah, exactly. So
it's like
which you shouldn't do. Cause I paid the price for that.
Yeah, I can imagine
with her.
I can imagine a lot of people probably just skip them, but if you kind of just invest yourself in it, you actually get a lot more out of it if you do just read. So in the earlier ones, like, I would skip them, at least just in my playstyle. But now, like, having like especially with Last Room, when I was actually like taking the time to read them and understand the like story, you do get into it like a lot more. And you get a lot more out of it from doing that. So it's worth doing.
Yeah, cool,
fantastic. Well,
have we covered everything?
I think we have, haven't we? For the Lakhmids.
There's more stuff that we could talk about, I guess. Just give me a moment to remember. Oh yeah, so like there is split victory conditions and achievements. These are all kind of like new religious features. The fact that, like I mentioned, that you can switch what religion you want to be fairly early on, and you're able to build multiple religious buildings to do that, which previously you can't do. So you can build like what you want to convert to help the conversion process. It's a lot easier. That gives you a lot of flexibility in terms of like these different victory conditions you can go for. So you can actually, there's multiple ones toward the end of victory conditions that are geared towards a certain religion. So if you have a certain amount of religion across your state, you can hit these victory conditions faster and get like paid out extra. You know, not like just overall victory. I mean like objective conditions as well. Yeah. So that's like kind of interesting. Obviously, it's just like a little small thing, but it's to encourage people to use the religion and kind of master it a bit better.
Again, those objectives to kind of guide you through a particular path of following them and completing them.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's a new building chain.
Okay.
So I don't know if you guys have seen it in your limited playtime with it, but there's what's called a pleasure building chain.
Oh yeah.
Wait.
Pleasure chain. Yeah.
So yeah, the Tanakids don't get this. It's only for the ones that aren't hordes. So it'll be the Axum, Lakhmids, and the Himyar. So it's a pleasure building is basically like an industry building, basically, if you call that an industry.
Yeah.
Where it basically does what it says on the tin. People come in, like at first it's like pleasure camps, and people will come in, and for a certain fee, something happens, and it generates you a lot of money. But it's really bad for sanitation, and it's bad for it's good for public order, but it's bad for religion as well.
Just sounds nasty.
Yeah, so it hurts your religion. It gives you a lot of money, and it's good for public order, but it hurts your religion, and it's bad for sanitation, like really bad. But if you build it up to, if you can like manage to hold like a tier 4 pleasure chain building, I think it's like some sort of opium emporium or something. You'll be making like 1,000 a turn from that building alone, which is like really good. It's like 1,000 from industry straight up, but it's like a -7 to your state religion in that province, I think. So
you're gonna really have to carefully craft your provinces and your regions there if you want to make use of those.
It's that kind of simple like risk and reward. Like this is like such a large sum of money that I'd love to get per turn. They're not expensive to build either.
It sounds like a Peter Baelish sort of industry, you know, Game of Thrones. Yeah. That sort of industry.
It's exactly like that. You should see the artwork. It's exactly like that.
Wow. Yes.
Yeah, it is actually very like that. But yeah, no, you can read the little descriptions about it, and
nice.
It's funny as well. So that building chain is one of my favorites. But honestly, though, in terms of gameplay, it is actually interesting because I've been like, I really want to get like this free 500 like per turn. That's you know, pays for itself in 2 turns or like 3 turns basically. But you can't really keep up with the sanitation costs. You need to have like an aqueduct built right next to it.
Right.
Stuff like that. So to flush away everything.
Tough night.
Yeah. There's also religious technologies, and these have changed a little bit since the kind of build that you guys would have played today, because we've just updated that today. So these religious technologies, you can choose one of the. Oh, you can choose both actually, but mainly now about choosing one or the other. So when you're going down the tech tree, it's only in the military side actually. You can go for either like it depends on your faction religion. So not all the Desert Kingdoms have the same split which religion they're going for. So the Lakhmids are going for Zoroastrian or Eastern Christianity, and based on that, like some others are going for Judaism or whatever. So based on that, you can choose either one or the other. Like you can choose both, but I think now it's going to cost you like $5,000 to just get one technology. So you can definitely do it, but unless you're making a lot of money, especially early on, you won't be able to afford it. And what it does is it'll grant you bonuses for fighting people with the opposite kind of religion. So not that religion, I think. So if you do the Eastern Christianity, you'll be able to get a +3 melee attack, missile attack, defense, and everything like against the Zoroastrians. There's other benefits in there as well for wealth, for depending on the amount of religion in the province and stuff like that. But it's mostly military focused, I think. So yeah, there's like at least a list of like 8 benefits that come with it. So it's a bit hard to remember exactly. That's in like tier 1 chain of technologies, and in tier 2 and in tier 3. And by tier 3, it's like you got to pay $10,000 to get this. You get it in a turn, but it's kind of off the beaten path, and you have to pay like a lot.
Right.
Definitely worth getting both though, because you still get the benefits for fighting against pretty much everyone then. So yeah, that's just religious technologies. The other one I've got written down, public order penalties. Oh yeah, sorry. That's just this very small, simple thing. It's just now basically public order is. It's just like a lot more negative if you've the presence of other religions in your religion. So you basically just have to work at like keeping your religion like constant or as much as possible. You'll notice that like heavily with the Lakhmids. Unfortunately, it's straight away. If you take that other town from the Ghastanids, they're a different religion, and that'll pretty much you start off with like 70% in your town. That'll pretty much bring you down to like 40, and then you get like riots and stuff pretty much straight away. I had a civil war in like turn like 12, so it's kind of annoying, but that's just like something they have to deal with rather than a feature. So
okay.
Nice.
That's pretty much everything for those factions anyway. But yeah, if you guys have any other questions for anything else, I can maybe answer a little bit.
Sure. I mean, I think the DLC on the DLC as well, of course, it's pushing it out a bit. It's making it, it's to say, give me that role play element, and I'm really looking forward to getting more into them. And as I say, it makes the campaign really sort of, I don't know what it is.
More dynamic.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's it.
I mean,
most
of the time, I think you probably say with quite a lot of certainty that no 2 Total War campaigns will play out, completely the same. No. And now, even with this, you have even more ways in which the player influences that dynamic sense of gameplay that you have with Total War, and it's great that you're getting these events and these things that you have to. You can't just. I mean, you kind of could ignore them if you want to, but they're much more in your face, and that these are kind of persistent problems that, if you do choose to ignore them, there are repercussions for it.
Yeah. Whereas it's more to manage. It's more to manage than you had to before. It gives you more of a sense of leadership, in a way. Yeah,
there's other things as well. Just other small things I forgot to mention, like. Yeah, there's loads more ancillaries for like your generals and stuff.
Okay.
Brilliant. Really a funny one they were sending around the office. People might not know actually that, or some people might have figured it out, that a lot of the images for those ancillaries used in game, I think they're called ancillaries, right? Like the little pictures of dudes that have effects on your generals.
On the household as well,
they're people from the office. A lot of them are anyway.
I remember a fair few of them for Rome too. The wise fisherman. There
wasn't as many in that. His one was like super obvious.
Yeah, it was.
But a lot of them are on the DLC team, and some of them are artists and things like that.
Love it.
They just put their own face into it and kind of blend it to wear a toga or whatever. They don't actually dress up. But one of them is like human footstool. So it's like if you're a king, obviously you have slaves and things. You don't want to have a regular stool with a cushion, like what you use someone's back to rest your feet on. And I can't remember the exact effect, but it's like a really good effect to have it on. But it's really funny. Like I just love little funny things like that, because when I see it, I see the guy who works here, and it's like he's the human footstool. and like you get a +10 morale bonus or something. It's like a +10 morale bonus or public order bonus. Oh, that's it. It's like a +10 public order bonus in the town. I don't know why that makes any sense, but it's just stuff like that. There's loads of them. Like, they're not all silly and stupid like that.
Probably
but
everyone's just super happy that it's not them that's the footstool.
yeah, maybe, yeah, yeah. But in his face, he's like, in the photo, so it's kind of like I don't know if he would be that happy to be doing that. But yeah, no, there's just loads of little things like that. Some extra traits and things that'll help, like with gameplay in the East, stuff like that. So
Yeah.
there's some other things in there as well. I was gonna say though, this culture pack is like one of the largest culture packs I think we've ever done. So the Lakhmids are the free section of that, and they have like 11 new units. Like the roster is still like filled out to the max, like most other ones, but 11 new and unique ones, which isn't like that much. But the DLC has like about 20 per faction, so it's actually like a huge amount of units. And of course, like even if you don't buy the DLC, that's like fine. You'll be able to like play against these units on your campaign. So like I feel like that's something people don't talk about as much. At least to me, I always thought that's actually fairly cool that like even if you don't buy it, your game's going to update and you'll be able to play against like much more diverse armies. Because a lot of people kind of complain that like, oh, we're always fighting Romans, and if they're emergent factions, they're still kind of Romans. But now it's like, well, you've got 3 new factions that even if you're not playing as, you basically just added 60 units to your game to play against.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
This is true.
Nice.
I don't know. I always think that's actually quite good, but
Yeah, definitely.
No, it's good
As I
because
said,
that diversity.
and this is all free. This one is.
Yeah.
You can enjoy it for free.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Attila. You can enjoy this one. Get it.
You get it
know?
whether you're wanted or not.
Or not. You get it. You get it.
yeah, basically.
Yeah, no, but it's for a free LC faction. The amount you're offering and dynamic play you've got with it is great. Yeah, looking forward to it. Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, the exclusive on the new free LC coming alongside the Empires of the Sands culture pack for Total War Attila.
On the 15th, is it?
15th of September?
So it should be releasing on the 15th. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 15th
That's
September.
That's what I was going to say actually. Is that so we're going to be doing streams as well. So follow us on Total War Official or wherever, or on Twitter. We're going to be streaming each of the actual DLC factions, so you can check out like their features because they got some extra features as well. We're kind of saving to talk about later on in the week. But something that's quite cool is that each one of them have their own event chains and stuff, so it is actually fun to watch and see what happens. And they all have their own unique buildings, just like the Lakhmids have their own actual unique buildings as well. Like I can't remember, I don't know why I didn't talk about them, but there's like Lakhmid churches and specific to their faction alone.
Yeah, I've seen this.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah, so it's just extra buildings, it's standard kind of stuff.
By the sounds of it, guys, you're getting quite a fleshed out faction,
Yeah.
even in just the free LC. And if you have been desperately waiting for a different part of the map to really get stuck into, the Empires of the Sands culture pack sounds like it's the DLC for you to check out.
Yeah.
Don't forget to check out Creative Assembly's own announcement that went out yesterday. We'll have it linked in the description of this Warcast Extra for you guys.
Yeah, just to further build on that one last time, like it is a really good way, like to even if you're kind of holding off on the DLC, like the Lakhmids is a great way to actually see what the other 3 are like. You're basically getting the Lakhmids, but a little bit more if you get the DLC, like a tiny little bit more.
Yeah.
So it's a great entry point, I think, just if you want to just play in the East, So that's pretty cool.
It answers a lot of people's requests for these Eastern factions, which people wanted from the start. So yeah, give it a go,
especially
guys.
like playing as them gives you like more reason then to play against the others and see what their units have to offer and so on and so forth.
Yeah, because I take it they will still get the DLC will still give the actual units that the other DLC will give to them in the free DLC. Is that right?
I think they have a shared mercenary pool and some extra units that might be shared between them. I think like Desert Spears is a unit that's shared between all Desert Kingdoms units.
Okay.
So there's units like that, but I think for unique units alone, like the Empire of Sand have about like at least 18 for each faction.
Wow.
There's some really, really cool ones that we'll get into, like personal favorites of mine. Actually, the trailer will be out, like you would have seen it yesterday. So you can see these cool dudes with like these awesome face masks and stuff. Like they have some really, really cool units. And so do the Lakhmids. I just don't have any footage to show you of them right now, I guess. But we're doing a Lakhmid stream as well, actually, today.
Cool.
When this comes out. So so tune into that if you want to see more. And
nice.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. So it's actually, honestly, like it is like the meatiest culture pack ever. I think you're getting a really good bang for your buck if you get it. Just so many units, building chains, new buildings, religious events, dynamic events, ancillaries, all that stuff. And there's actually unique campaign buildings that are on the campaign map. There's the Marid Dam, which is this like big dam that you can now see on the map that breaks and floods. You don't see it flood, but it's there on the map to see.
Oh, wow.
It's got a little pool of water and stuff.
Lovely.
And for Axum, they've got these religious buildings scattered around their towns that you can see. They're like unique models that went into the campaign map. So a lot of love has gone into it, I think. So
Yeah, a lot of depth. A lot of depth seems to be for this campaign pack. That's because you when you get a campaign pack, it's not usually as much depth as this. You usually get that more in a DLC for actual. Not say a campaign pack.
For a culture pack, yeah.
Culture pack. So yeah, for a campaign pack, you more get that DLC.
Yeah, previously they've just kind of been 3 factions. Here's your units.
Yeah, that's exactly. That's it. Yeah.
But now
building systems and features all around those as well.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, just trying to diversify their gameplay to set them apart from the other ones. Like even just having different victory conditions, religious events, stuff like that. Like it does make a difference when they all kind of build up together. So yeah, I think it's really good.
Cool.
Fantastic. Well, if
Thanks
you
for having us on, Dan.
feel
Yeah.
if you feel like sticking with the Sassanids or going it alone and claiming independence from them, check out the Lakhmids when they come out on the 15th alongside the Empires of the Sand DLC. So thanks, Darren, for coming on and telling us all about the Lakhmids, all their various features, buildings, religion, and those pleasure houses.
Oh, I can't wait for that. Peter Baelish,
Awesome. Yeah, I'd love to see
time. Baelish time.
But I'd love to see an empire where it's just like pleasure chains all over the empire, you know, like a proper
Baelish Empire.
Yeah, I was gonna say a proper pin.
Well, you can
but
you can
something like
rename the settlements, can't you? So
oh yeah, so that'd be cool.
Oh yeah, Baelishville.
Start naming them after his pleasure houses.
Yeah, yeah.
Start naming them after like his favorite girl in each one.
Yeah.
There you go.
Or indeed guy.
Oh god, classic.
Well, guys, we'll see you again soon with a full Warcast. There might be some other stuff going on with that. We're arranging bits and bobs at the moment, so there should be some fun stuff planned for the next full Warcast. But we hope you enjoy this Warcast Extra.
Watch this space.
Yeah, watch it. Links to everything we've mentioned can be found in the description. But until next time, it's goodbye from me.
Bye.
Bye.
Cha-cha!
Not the 2 1s. Bye.